2 rounds down for the Three Sisters Individual Endurance Championship, and we are sat P9 in the standings. Round 1 saw us battling with the weather and a really slow kart with an incident thrown in for good measure, while round 2 saw me battling my own driving skills. So we have a lot of ground to make up as we head into round 3. Hello and welcome to the Pit Lane Collective Racing. We're here at Three Sisters in Wigan for round 3 of their Individual Endurance Championship. As you've just seen during the intro, we've not done too well in the first 2 rounds of this championship so far. P7 and P9 finishes mean we're 9th overall in the championship, and we'd better get some good results on the board if we want to climb that order anymore. So let's head out for qualifying and see what we can do. Immediately, I was delighted to discover this car had some decent top-end speed, which was something that we'd missed in round 1. As any fan of motorsports can tell you, and even at this low level of amateur karting, qualifying can make or break your race. The margins are super close, and a 1/10 of a second dropped could mean the difference between 2 or 3 positions on the grid. I spent my first couple of laps just pushing as hard as I could to get the tyres up to temperature, testing out a couple of different lines through the corners to see which one was the quickest, and then trying to get into a bit of clear air, because when, there's 17, 18 people out on track and you're all trying to qualify, you can end up tripping over each other like I've just done here. And I think, just through that corner alone, sending it down the inside of that guy in the white helmet, I lost about half a second. And you also never know when someone ahead might mess up like this guy did and compromise your lap. Maybe I'm making this sound a little bit more complicated. In reality, I'm just out here, foot to the floor, trying to set as fast a lap as possible every single lap. And if something goes wrong and I get compromised, then I just spend the rest of that lap trying to learn better lines. And what you're about to see is the culmination of all that. This is my fastest qualifying lap in this session. I was pretty chuffed with that one. At this point in time, a 50.5 is actually my fastest ever lap around Three Sisters. And I'd set that lap with a rather large distraction, which I will explain to you in a second. But first of all, let's get my live reaction.
Good.
Eloquent and insightful as always. Yeah, the distraction was that I'd gone out on circuit with my car keys in the pocket of my race suit, and a couple of laps before that fastest lap, they'd actually worked their way out of my pocket and slid down into the seat, so I was actually sat on them for the entirety of the rest of the session. So you can see me distractedly trying to shove them into my actual jeans pockets here. And I almost missed the marshal pointing to me as we're gridding up. In all that, I knew that it was a good lap. I didn't quite realise that it was good enough for P2 on the grid. My first ever front row start here. And as I lined my car up on the starting grid, I was a little bit dumbfounded, and I clearly wasn't the only one who was surprised.
Cheers, boss. I have no idea how that happened. I was sat on my keys the entire time. Cheers, man.
As I sat there, it began to sink in, and I got a big thumbs up from Jason, who was clearly just as shocked as I was. This was kind of a mad opportunity to score some good points. We sat on the grid for ages. There was some sort of issue with gridding up. I don't really know what it was, but we were literally sat here for about 5 minutes staring at this ready to race light. And that gave me enough time to start worrying, to start going through all the possible outcomes, and I was just determined, do not lose it, do not crash on lap 1, do not tangle with people, just get through the first opening laps. I knew that there'd be quick drivers behind me and I expected them to come through at some point. Just finish as high as you can, Alex. Do a good job, come on. The lights go out and we are off. The kart in position number 3 gets a better start than me. He's quite light, and so I just give him the space. I'm checking my inside there to just make sure no one's sending it on me. We're going to slot in behind him and try and get through these first couple of corners. We just don't want to give away time at this point. As I said, there's going to be fast drivers behind, and I feel like I'm going to get hunted down at some point, so let's just try and stay in the mix. Kart number 11 got a poor run through Luna. He ran a little bit wide, and so we're on his tail as we head onto the Conrod straight. We know that this kart has got a good top speed, and you can see me just reeling him in. As we head into the braking zone and the fast right-hander of the S's, he runs a little bit wide. We're side by side. We take the inside line, which will then turn to the outside for the left-hander, but we've got the top-end speed. We get the overlap. We get the position. We're back up into P2 as we go around the final corner of lap 1. Let's watch that again from Jason's point of view. He's starting in P6 on the grid, but immediately, as we're into turn 1, he's already up into P4 through the middle of the 2 karts directly ahead of him, and now he's right on my tail. That's me, kart number 21 ahead. He gets the run on me down this short straight towards Luna, but he just doesn't have the overlap, and then I think because I'm the heavier driver, Jason washes wide, whereas I'm able to hook that apex a lot closer. It also happens to kart 11, the kart in front of me, and then that sets me up for a great run down this Conrod straight. I've got the top end speed in my kart, which I don't think the driver of kart number 11 or Jason had, and so as we head into the S's, I'm right on his tail. Kart number 11 runs wide there, I get the inside line, and then kart number 11 just clips the curb on the inside of that left-hander as well, which unsettles him and he loses speed, which enables me to get the overlap, and then we slot into single file as we head through the final corner. 1 lap completed then, and we are still in P2. We've made an overtake and we haven't had a crash and we haven't dropped to the back, so that is already good. I'm already happy with that, but this is a long old race. It's a 30-minute race and plenty can go wrong. So I'm just settling in now. I'm just trying to focus on the kart ahead, trying to stay close to him, trying to minimize any mistakes and just stay consistent.
Plenty of ways to pop this up, sunshine. Stay focused. Come on.
These first few laps were intense, and all that was going through my head was just, stay consistent, because I felt like there were fast guys coming up from behind, and they were definitely going to catch us and definitely overhaul us. I was just thinking if I can hang on to maybe a top 5 or something here, that would be perfect. I could see the leader was starting to disappear off into the distance, and I knew I didn't really have a chance there unless he was going to make a mistake. I just wasn't quick enough. But as long as I could avoid too many mistakes of my own, I felt like I had a good shot at some decent points here. And this was one of the first signifiers that we actually had some decent pace. We set a 50.1, which is my fastest ever lap around this circuit, and it was the fastest lap of the race at the time.
No mistakes, come on.
And seeing that lap time flash up on my screen, on my little delta, gave me some hope. You know, you can see me here, I'm checking behind me, I'm seeing if the faster guys are coming, but there was actually a decent gap starting to stretch out now between me and the kart in 3rd place, and no one was coming through the pack. So I started to think, you know what, maybe we have got the pace here, maybe we can fight for a podium. I even started using human DRS on the straight to just give me a little bit more top speed. Mentally, it is a very, very different kind of race when you're up front and you're not directly battling with anyone. You're just trying to make sure that people don't catch you. And this is my first ever experience of having a race like that. Usually, I've been in the pack the entire time. Often I've been in incidents and I've dropped back. But this is the first race I've had where I've properly just been keeping my head down and just trying to set lap after lap that is consistent and quick and keeps me out of trouble and keeps me out of reach from the karts behind me. And it's almost hypnotic when you get into that zone. You start to notice little things that change that might catch you out. Like when I came around this corner here and see the tyre marks across the road, someone's gone off and they've brought a bit of water on. Luckily, it wasn't on the racing line. But those are the sorts of things that can just catch you out as you settle into this weird sort of like rhythmic, hypnotic state of just lap after lap after lap trying to hit your marks. Now, I'd love to pretend that I'm a good, nice, consistent driver who does hit his marks every single lap, but, you know, I'm not, and I did have my fair share of little incidents in this race with myself.
Do not hit the inside curb, that's not good.
I noticed that if I clipped that inside curb on the final corner that the kart was skipping and bouncing out wide, and I was just losing time on the exit, so I had a little argument with myself, told myself to sort it out, and tried not to make that mistake again. I'd spent about 14 laps at this point checking behind me because I was still convinced that there were going to be fast drivers coming through and that I was going to lose positions. But incredibly, we're on lap 15 and there's no one there. There is a huge gap behind us now. And so it's looking good. It's looking like we can maybe try and consolidate this P2 finish, which would be massive. There's only one thing that could get in our way now, apart from me making mistakes. Well, there's two things. But one other thing, apart from my mistakes, which could get in our way. And I learnt that only too well in the previous round. It's lap traffic. I'd seen over the past couple of laps that we're starting to gain on some of the back markers, and we're going to have to fight our way through them.
Do not lose time in the traffic.
On the one hand, it could give me a decent chance to maybe catch up to P1, maybe even go for the win if he tangles with some of the back markers. But on the other hand, yeah, it could also ruin my race. So I wanted to play this one carefully.
Also, do not get killed by the traffic.
You can't expect any of the traffic to move over and just let you through. There's no blue flags. They have no idea that you're the leader. For all they know, you could just be attacking them for position. So you've got to be careful. You know, these two guys have an absolutely titanic scrap here. The leader's already got through. I've got to pick my moment carefully, which maybe isn't going 3 wide into one of the... Oh my god. Okay, maybe that wasn't the smartest thing I've ever done, but I was aware that I needed to get through these guys quickly. You can't just sit behind them and lose tons of time. So yeah, it's trying to balance that. Do you go for moves and try and get through as quick as possible, with the risk being that maybe you'll be hit and sent into oblivion? Or do you sit back, lose race time and allow people to catch you but go through in a safe manner? I'll have to deliberate that another time, because right now I've caught up to the next 2 back markers and these two are having a battle as well. This has the potential to get quite spicy as we go into the fastest corner on the circuit. They both run wide. We're 3 wide briefly, but I hang back and then just managed to get them both on the exit of the corner. They both took a bit too much speed in there and we're through. Oh, the heart rate can come down again now. After that, there weren't too many drastic moments. I just got my head down, kept on pumping in the laps. No one was catching us. Did make a couple of mistakes running wide here, but I got away with it in the end and I didn't do anything too silly. P1 was gone at this point. He was miles ahead. I do think that he and I have both lucked out here because we clearly had absolute rockets of karts. But hey, when you're presented with an opportunity like that, all you can do is just grab it with both hands and do the best you can. So I'm just going to keep my head down, keep pumping these laps in, and soon we'll see the checkered flag. Well, I saw the checkered flag, but you guys unfortunately won't, because my camera, again, ran out of battery. Probably because we were sat on the grid for about 5 minutes before the race started and I didn't think to restart the camera. So unfortunately, you guys won't see my reaction to going over the start finish and taking the checkered flag to finish P2 in this race, my best ever result. But I did do a little reenactment to show you how calm and reserved I was. Yes! And I had a good little chat with Jason after the race where he told me about the start from his perspective.
In mine, you'll see yourself disappearing off the grid.
And that just about wraps it up for this video. We are now back up into P7 in the championship standings within a whisper of P5. So if we can keep this going, maybe we can climb even higher. Thank you very much for watching. Make sure you subscribed if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.